Okay. All right. So we're good. So I am Tom Hagan for my class EDIM 516 at Wilkes University.
Hi,
Uh,
Tom.
and so I'm here with Suzanne Conway.
Conway, yes.
So Suzanne, my first question is, what do you teach and what age level?
Well, I'm the homeroom teacher for students in grades 3 through 5 in a virtual online school. It's a public charter school.
Okay. So what brought you to online teaching? What kind of took you there?
Well, a variety of things. First of all, I've been teaching well, I first started teaching in 1981. That's kind of a long time ago. Did some other things, got married, raised my family, taught in the taught in the public and the private schools for many years, and just had this wonderful opportunity about 7 years ago come to me, and I jumped on board, and it's been no going back. It's awesome.
Oh, that's excellent.
hmm
Uh, so could you like describe like a typical class? What sort of activities do you do? Do you do assessments? How does that all work?
We do all of those things. We're actually kind of what we call a blended school, where we do meet face to face with our testing students once weekly during the school year. So that gives us an opportunity to actually see them and interact with them face to face. They come to my online classroom, which is very similar to what we're doing right now, where I provide instruction to them on a weekly and daily basis. Their curriculum, all their materials are delivered to our students at their homes.
Mhm.
So they also have what we call a student plan, which includes all of their daily lessons that they have to complete on a daily basis. Then they also have materials that are shipped to their home, so they can, like, they'll do a lesson in math. Say a third grader will do a lesson in math, and part of the lesson is delivered electronically, and then part of it is in their workbook. So they'll do their math problems, and then they'll go back to the computer and they'll complete their assessment. So we do that kind of testing within their curriculum. We also do state testing, and we do benchmark testing. And those are all done online as well.
Oh,
But
cool.
we meet with our students to do those state assessments.
Oh, okay. Um,
hmm
so what's it like teaching little kids online? I kind of know from taking online courses like I am now.
Sure.
Um, the older kids and obviously college students, I feel
hmm
like they've had enough time to kind of know what a classroom's like. So
Yeah.
what's it like for those kids who this is all kind of still brand new to them?
Yes, it really is. And right now is the time of the year when we're getting our new families up and going, so that when the first day of school starts, they'll be ready to go. Teaching kids, I also teach middle school language skills.
Mhm.
Particularly, I teach grammar. So it's really not a lot different than being in a traditional brick and mortar setting. The focus is so much more on learning in our virtual school. We have a lot of students who come to us for a variety of reasons. I have many students who are working way above their current grade level, and they would never be able to do that in a traditional school.
Sure.
And then I have some students who, every year we get at least one new student, typically in the third, fourth, or fifth grade in my range, and they come to us and they can't read yet.
Mhm.
So can you imagine that?
Oh
So
yeah.
we have to remediate them,
Mhm.
and they all learn to read before the end of the school year. So many of those kids are working below their grade level. But what we can do is we meet them exactly where they are. We're able to individualize their curriculum, and they work through that curriculum and make progress. So most of our kids are right on grade level, but many of them are below, and many of them are working way above grade level. We also have kids who come to us who, like, I have one student who has a chronic health condition,
Sure.
and he cannot go to a traditional school because of his health condition. So our model works really well for him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. And then we have a lot of kids. We have a lot of military families. They have very different kinds of schedules. They
Sure.
might be with us for 6 months and then they have to go somewhere else for the remaining period of the time in school, and they can still continue in their same school during that time.
Oh, that's awesome. Because I'm
It is.
sure, you know, I've never had that experience, but I'm sure, uprooting every so often, that would be tough. And this kind of provides some consistency for those students.
It absolutely does. It's not the right fit for everyone, but because for one thing, it requires the parent, it's usually the mother,
Mhm.
to be very involved with their child's education. What I do live instruction with them, and I do synchronous virtual instruction, just like we're having here.
Sure.
And then I also monitor what they are doing on a daily basis. And, obviously a little kindergartner or even a third grader, it needs help. They need,
Yeah,
mommy, where's my book? Open it up to page 35. Help
absolutely.
me log into class with Mrs. Conway and that sort of thing. So
Okay.
the parent has to be very involved.
Sure. And when you think about it, so with a like a traditional brick
Mhm.
and mortar school, you need the parents at home to do this exact same thing.
Right,
Um,
but you have a teacher who is kind of moving the whole class,
mhm.
one group at a time, through a lesson. And in our virtual world, every student is working in their own individualized lesson. So
Okay.
they can move through a little bit faster or they can take more time if they need to. It's a little bit different than, I mean, I understand the Blackboard and how the college courses work with
Sure.
Blackboard. That's mostly, putting in your responses and
And submitting and all that
yeah,
sort of stuff.
all that kind of stuff. This is not like that at all.
Mhm.
It's very interactive, with live interaction as well.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Um, let's see. Answered already some of my questions. So actually, yeah, you pretty much answered that. Do you have anything else kind of that you consider advantages to an online classroom as opposed to a brick and mortar, or more traditional? I know you already gave me some, but is there anything else you might add to that?
Well, we often have kids who come to us who have been bullied in
Mhm.
school, and this environment removes them from that. They can be in a safe environment and not have to worry about that, so they can focus on learning. There are just so many different reasons.
Oh, that's awesome. Um, are there any sort of disadvantages that you found to online compared to traditional?
Well, one thing that parents and others will always ask me is, what about the social aspect of it? And we find that it because a student is schooled at home in a virtual environment, their social interactive abilities are not impacted. So
Mhm.
many of our students still participate in school extracurricular activities like soccer and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We have many of our students. I've got one little guy who does everything. He takes pottery classes. He does Legoland. He's very, very active, and I mean, we've got a huge group of Girl Scouts. So no, that's really the biggest myth I think a lot of families have is, how is my child going to have social interaction with other kids? And that just does not create a problem for our families. Now, of course, if a child is at home all the time and doesn't have any other interaction, that could be a problem, but we really don't see that.
Okay. And that actually brings me to my next thing. And you mentioned already the myths. Are there any other myths that you've kind of found dispelled as you've been teaching online?
Mm. I've been doing it for such a long time now. I can't remember what I used to think about it before I actually started it.
Yeah.
The one thing that I can say that I have found to be so dynamic is that our students working in the virtual world really matches their learning needs and allows them to make that academic growth that we all as teachers want our kids to make. And they can make it at their own pace. Our students are very confident, very academically prepared.
Mhm.
And, you know, I think that might be a myth that is out there.
Okay, awesome. And then just my last thing, where do you see this in terms of the future? Is this something where you could see it being for all students down the road, or is it more for certain situations? What do you see going forward for this type of education?
Well, we certainly are seeing a huge growth in virtual education in the K. And our school is a K-8 school, kindergarten through 8th grade. You know, it's much more common in secondary education, graduate and undergraduate
Oh,
school,
sure.
than it is in the elementary levels. But I do see it growing. Many school districts are realizing the value of virtual education for some, maybe not all, for a variety of different reasons. And the thing that is so good about our school is that it's a choice.
Hmm.
The parent gets to choose
Yeah.
where to send their school. And as a parent and an educator, I think that's huge.
Hmm.
Parents deserve the opportunity to choose where they want their child to go to school. We
Sure.
don't need the government saying, if your student's going to go to public school, they have to go to that one.
Hmm.
You know, we don't need that. Parents need to be able to decide where to send their children to school.
It's interesting because it would kind of eliminate, a lot of my friends are in the process of, buying houses and
Mhm.
starting families, and that would eliminate a lot of this is in X school district, or if we had kids, they would have to go to X and Y schools.
Exactly.
So instead, they could choose this option, and that kind of eliminates a lot of, we have to be in this neighborhood because this is the only place that can provide this type of education.
That's exactly right. School option is really something that needs more attention. And we're on I guess you could say, in the perfect storm in
Mhm.
that area, because our parents get to choose our school. They have to apply,
Mhm.
but it's a free public charter school and it's online.
Oh, awesome. Well,
Yeah, it is.
oh, absolutely. Well, that wraps up my questions. Thank you again so much
Okay,
for doing this.
absolutely, Tom. Now, will you send me a copy of this recording?
Absolutely. I'll send you a link. It'll be on my YouTube page, but only viewable through the link. So it
Okay,
won't be
great.
public. It'll be through the link.
Okay, I'm going to post it on my Twitter page if you don't mind.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
All right.
All
Well, thank
right.
you very much.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Have a good
Okay.
day.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.